Hoi, Rinda here. Exactly 1 week ago, I came back from Rwanda, where I hiked the Congo Nile Trail. Now, there's a lot of information about the Congo Nile Trail as a bikepacking trail, but not so much of the trail as a hiking trail. So I thought I'd make this video and get people as excited about this trail as I am. First, about the name, it is a bit misleading because the trail is not in Congo and not anywhere near the river Nile. Instead, the name is derived from the watershed between the Congo and Nile rivers. Basic facts about this trail, it's 172 kilometers based on the base camps I used. So if you do a different base camp, it might be a bit longer. And it runs from Rubavu in the north to Ruzizi in the south. The trail runs along the shores of Lake Kivu, though you're also getting into the hills and might not see the lake at all for a couple of hours at least. And certainly the last day I didn't see the lake at all. It's a rural trail, meaning that while there's lots of nature, birds and lizards, you're not out in the rainforest. Instead, there are many small villages, banana plantations, cornfields, and gorgeous rice paddies. The trail has been waymarked with concrete markers and signposts, but only till halfway the town of Kimbuya. Also, some of the concrete markers have been damaged by children or adults, I don't know why. Or some have become irrelevant because the trail has been rerouted due to landslides or slips. So if you want to hike this trail, you will need a guide, a map or a GPS track. Fortunately, I have a smartwatch and every day I recorded the GPS track and I will be sharing the link in the description of this video. I booked the Congo Nile Trail pretty last minute, and because of all the logistics, including 2 boat crossings, I opted for a guided hike. I used a Rwandan travel agency, Gorilla Highlands, and they booked all the accommodations, transport to and from the trail, and some excursions both before and after the hike. They also hired Cesar, the guide that accompanied me for all the 10 days of the hike. Now, I hiked before with a guide on El Camino de Costa Rica, and there I experienced for the first time how hiking with a guide can really elevate your experience. And that again proved to be true here in Rwanda. First of all, it was just very relaxing, just being able to follow a guide and not having to worry about route finding. There was also a bit of a safety issue because there are many log bridges that Cesar basically danced across, and I had a bit of more trouble because my balance isn't that great, or maybe it's a confidence issue, could be as well. But Cesar guided me across the log bridges very well. He also explained a lot about local customs, bird life, all the crops that we encountered, the various things that we saw that I've never seen before, like charcoal making and such. So it was really a nice experience having the guide. Also on the second day, I was supposed to stay in Kununu. And in hindsight, I didn't like that plan very much because the day after was going to be very long. So I consulted Cesar and he was able to change the accommodation and the distance for the day in a way that suited me much better. So if I didn't have a guide, I maybe would have fixed plans, and now the plans were a bit more flexible. So all in all, I was very happy with the service that was provided and the company of Cesar as a guide. It was really like hiking with a friend, and I enjoyed it very much. One of the first questions I was asked very often when I talked about going to Rwanda for a hike was, is it safe? And I think people have prejudices about Africa, but I can assure you Rwanda is one of the best organized and safest countries in Africa. and I never felt unsafe for a single moment. There is some trouble across the border in Congo, and when I looked at the travel advisory, the map was orange, so only a necessary travel. And that did make me nervous for a bit. But then I contacted the Gorilla Highlands travel agency, and they assured me it was quite safe. So I trusted their local knowledge. So while I obviously don't advise to ignore a travel advisory, um, it's also a good thing to ask for local knowledge and then trust your own judgment. As for the trail itself, I went in the dry season, and while the trail was very hilly and the paths were sometimes quite steep, it was never dangerous and I never felt unsafe. In the rain, however, some of the paths may be tricky and slippery, so it could be more challenging and an accident could certainly happen, I think. But as long as it's dry, it shouldn't be any issue at all. The people that we met along the trail were very friendly, as well as the children that came up to say hello and good morning. But it could be overwhelming when the trail passes by a school and the whole classes run up to you for a handshake or to say hello. Some children ask for money, some adults too, but that was a minority. And because I had Cesar with me, who obviously spoke the local language, he was able to send them off if they became too overwhelming. So that was a relief as well. While you can camp along the trail, wild camping is not recommended for safety reasons. Cesar, my guide, advised against it, saying that you might get robbed because there is a lot of poverty, especially in the interior. So it might be too tempting if you camp in the middle of the woods or the fields. You can camp near health centers, government buildings, or school, Cesar recommended. And there were also some accommodations where you can camp. But wild camping, certainly not a good idea to do in Rwanda. The accommodation I stayed in were guest houses, homestays, and Airbnbs. And some guest houses attached to schools where visiting pastors stayed, for instance. And while they were quite basic at times, they were sufficient. I had a decent bed and a food, and that's all I'm asking for during a hike. There is more luxurious accommodation available. Before I contacted Gorilla Highlands, I first contacted another travel agency in Rwanda that offered a more luxurious trip. But they also quoted a price that was double what I paid at Gorilla Highlands. And also, I imagine it involves some travel to and from the trail. And I'm never a fan of that. I like to stay right on the trail or quite near the trail. And with this accommodation, that was possible. But as I said, the accommodation was basic. For instance, there was often no hot water. Although some hosts were willing to warm up some water, so you have a bucket or a tub of warm water to rinse yourself off with, and that is quite luxurious as well after a couple of days and cold showers. One accommodation also did my laundry, and bear in mind that there are no washing machines, so the laundry has to be done by hand. So that was a great service as well. All but two of the places I stayed at had a mosquito net, and the places that didn't were high enough that they didn't really see any mosquitoes at all, so it wasn't really necessary. And also, one thing I noticed is that all the accommodations offered flip-flops for the guest, so that is something you don't have to bring yourself. The accommodation included breakfast. It's usually kind of omelets and different fruits, including freshly cut pineapple, which was absolutely amazing. And I highly recommend it because it tastes totally different from anything you can buy in the supermarket in your home country, I'm sure. Dinner was often available as well at a small fee. And that was mostly rice, kind of chips, potatoes, and like tomato pasta with the little fish that they caught in Lake Kivu. So it was absolutely filling. And I'm sure if you ask, they can make a vegetarian meal as well. But I had no issue and I like my meat. Tap water in Rwanda is not potable, so every day you have to be aware of taking enough water with you. I often took about 3 liters with me, and that was plenty. Many hosts will offer bottles of water, and sometimes you can buy them at the host. But there are also little shops in the bigger villages that are open quite early. In the smaller villages, people tend to work the land in the morning, and if they have a shop, then it will open in the afternoon. So water might not be available if you want to buy it early in the morning. There are also some spigots along the way with fairly clean water, but I would filter it just to make sure nothing happens. And of course, there are rivers as well and streams. I would avoid Lake Kivu itself, however. If you watch the videos, you're going to see at one point pigs loading on boats onto the market. And next to the boat, there were some dead pigs in the water. So although it's a huge lake and you might be miles away from where they loaded up the pigs, I still wouldn't risk it. Tipping in Rwanda is not mandatory or expected, but certainly appreciated, as the wages in the tourism industry are quite low. I'm not going to explain everything about tipping, because there is someone else who explained it much better than I can, and I watched this video before I traveled to Rwanda. I will link the video in the description, and hopefully it will be as much help to you as it was to me. One thing I do want to add though is something I didn't think about initially, but Cesar educated me about it. And that is that in the smaller villages, it's no use tipping in dollars, because they can't spend it dollar in the smaller villages, only in the bigger city. So they might use a dollar as a souvenir, but not actually spend it. So in the smaller villages, it's best to tip in Rwanda francs. I'm not going to tell you what to pack, because if you're experienced enough to make a journey to Rwanda, I'm sure you're also experienced enough to know what to pack. However, I do have 2 small tips. And the first one is to absolutely take trekking poles with you, because they help with balance and they help with climbing uphill, which I needed as I'm a Dutchie and it's quite flat here. So the trekking poles help me tremendously. The second tip I have is regards to the charging. According to Google, Rwanda uses 2 kinds of wall plugs. First is C with 2 prongs, and the other is the J with 3 prongs. Well, when I went into the smaller villages, the only sockets they had were for the C, so this one, and I didn't use the converter with the 3 prongs at all. So I did bought a converter from C to J, but I didn't need it at all. So you can spare the expense and leave this at home. I do recommend taking a power bank, because although there was electricity in all the accommodation, sometimes the power went out for a shorter or longer period of time. I think the longest was a couple of hours. So if you're short on juice, then a power bank comes in real handy. Lastly, the cost of this vacation, and I must say, it didn't feel very expensive to me really. But maybe that comes from a place of privilege. I paid about 3,000 euros, or $4,000 to Gorilla Highlands. But that included not only the 10-day hike and all the accommodation and the boat crossings, the breakfasts, some dinners, I think, I don't remember exactly. It also included a pickup from the airport, some excursions before and after the trail, a driver for 4.5 days, and gas, of course. So given what everything I received for this amount, I'm very happy to have paid it. And again, There was another travel agency that quoted me $10,000 for a more luxurious accommodation and also some excursions. But that was really over the limit for me. So I'm very happy to have found Gorilla Highlands. I also had $300, I think, I spent, mostly in tips and some meals, and then 200,000 francs also for tips and meals and for buying water and milk and some snacks in the little village shops. So all in all, it was somewhat expensive, but well worth the money. The language of Rwanda is Kinyarwanda, if I pronounce it correctly. And I always think it's very important to know at least a few words in the local language to greet people and to say thank you. So I'm probably going to make a mess of it. So I will try to find a video to link with the correct pronunciation. But I want to share with you some of the words I learned and used on a daily basis. Because just like in the Netherlands, in Rwanda, it's customary that you greet people when you meet them along the trail. So we did so often and people enjoyed it very much. First, saying hello is moraho, which I used almost daily a lot, and people really enjoyed it. Morabeho is goodbye, and murakosa is thank you. So those are the three most important words to know when you're in Rwanda. Now, if you want to go a bit more complicated, then you could say good morning, and that is Miara Mutsa. And I always want to say Maria Mutsa because I changed out the letters and I googled it and it turns out it's spelled completely differently. But Miara Mutsa is what I pronounced and most people were able to recognize it as a proper greeting. Good afternoon is Mirore Mutsa. Mirore Mutsa. And hopefully I won't make too bad a mess of it. And in response to a greeting, you say Yego. Yes, I think it was Yego, but I will link an official video with the correct language in the description. But I got away with it because, of course, I'm a tourist, so I'm not expected to do it perfectly. One more greeting I want to emphasize because when you're along the trail, you see a lot of people with carrying stuff on their head. Sometimes seeds, sometimes banana beer, or actual bananas. I think one man carried almost 50 kilograms of banana on his head. So you can wish them strength. And if you're talking to one person, it's komera. And if you're talking to more than one person, it's mo komera. So you wish them strength with the load they have on their heads. So again, it's not perfect, but I hope it helps and wish you pleasant interactions with local people. So now I've come to the end of my introduction video of the Congo Nile Trail. I hope you found it useful. If you think I could have done a better job or if you miss any information, let me know so I can do a better job next time. I did also keep a video diary of all the 10 days of the Congo Nile Trail, and I hope you will enjoy it as well. You can see what the landscape was like and what the challenges were, although they were not too many, I think. I enjoyed it very much, and I hope this video will encourage you to enjoy the Congo Nile Trail as well. Happy hiking!